It is Thursday, August 22nd, 2024. This is another edition of Baseball Today, presented to you by 5 Hour Energy. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan, along for the ride as well. And before we get going on anything else, I want to commend you on your outstanding work this year in the Minnesota Twins booth. I know that your duties came to a finish on Wednesday. How you feeling?
I feel good about everything. You know, I left on a high note, a great win for the Twins yesterday. I feel a little sad that I'm not going to be with the boys anymore because that's kind of like the funnest part about it is just getting to be around in the clubhouse and stuff like that. But another part of me is happy, Chris, that I get to kind of end my travel and get to be with my family, you know, all the time now, which is great.
That is awesome. Well, if you need a little energy pick-me-up, that's where our friends at 5 Hour Energy will lend a helping hand. Those are shots that help you feel alert and energized. Each shot is packed with vitamins and nutrients and about as much caffeine as the leading premium coffee, like a regular strength shot that's equal to an 8-ounce cup of Joe, extra strength, a dozen ounces. Here's the nice thing, because Plouffe is very careful about what he puts in his body. It contains 0 sugar. So you'll drink it in seconds, you'll feel it in minutes, and it will last for hours. It's available in a wide range of great flavors across regular strength and extra strength as well. So I want you to head on over to www.5hourenergy.com. If you use the code word JOHNBOY, you're going to get 20% off your first order. That is, once again, the number 5hourenergy.com. Code is JOHNBOY. Save 20% today. All right, we were energized by a couple of things in the Show Me State, and that's why we got a pair of tips of the cap. We'll start in St. Louis, where Nolan Arenado hit his 5th career walk-off homer, his 6th career grand slam, and it all came in extra innings with the comeback win against the Milwaukee Brewers. So I know it's been a rough few weeks for the Cardinals. That was cool. But across the state, in Kansas City, I thought this was awesome. Johnny Cueto making his Angels debut. He actually worked into the 7th, pitched very well, giving up just 3 runs. And of course, even almost a decade later, after winning the World Series there in Kansas City, they still treat him like one of their own. Standing ovation for him as he's walking off the mound. I thought that was awesome, didn't you?
I did too. I mean, there's certain places that have really good baseball fans, knowledgeable baseball fans, and then Kansas City is definitely one of them. You know, when they recognize someone, you know, from their past, they give the right acknowledgement. And Cueto to pitch in the 7th inning, like, this guy is amazing, dude. It's awesome. Yeah. So I think a lot of fan bases kind of claim Cueto. He's played for so many different teams. You know, obviously the Reds can claim him, but what he did there in Kansas City is very important. So that was cool to see.
Yeah, and then how about right out of the gate working into the 7th inning, dude?
Incredible.
Like, let's not waste any time. Just go to work. Go do your thing. I thought that was awesome. Unfortunately, one of the game's legendary players made this announcement on Wednesday.
That's it. I'm done. I am officially retired from baseball.
How shocked were you that Joey Votto came out with that?
I mean, it gets to a point, Chris, where you just feel like you can't really do it anymore. And I applaud Joey for continuing and playing through the minor leagues this year. I believe he got into like 31 games. It's not easy to kind of like take your medicine, go down and try to reestablish yourself to get back to the big leagues. But he's a guy that, you know, loves the game so much, has given the game so much. It was cool to see him go do that. I was hoping to get, I think everyone was hoping to see him in a Toronto uniform. There's no doubt about that. But I mean, there's just so much positive that comes along with a guy like Joey Votto. So I'd rather, I guess, talk about the positives.
Yeah, which we'll get to in just a second. Unfortunately, it got kind of off track. He signed late in spring training. Then his first at bat in his spring training game, he homers off of Zach Wheeler. And we're like, okay, we're going. This is going to be awesome. And then he like rolled his ankle or something in that game and was weeks and weeks behind, and took him a while to even get a chance to kind of reestablish himself down there in the minors. And that didn't go great. But I'll admit that I was really surprised. I think if I were to ask him, he probably had this week circled on his calendar because that's when the Reds were coming to town. I don't think that it's just a coincidence that he happened to call it quits on the day that they finished a series there north of the border. all of that sort of stuff.
I wonder if they had discussions with him like, hey, we could like just bring you up. And do you think he would have said, hey, I'm not performing well enough to come up to the
Possible.
big leagues? Like, I'm
Yeah.
very curious because if you're the Blue Jays, like it's really would just be like a nice send off for the guy. You're not in any race.
Mm-hmm.
You could sell some tickets
Mm-hmm.
for a game, although they probably don't need any help up there in Toronto selling tickets. But I'm curious to see how it all went down. But Joey's, I mean, if you just look at his career, Chris, it's incredible. I always go for the 3-4-5. If you can do 3-4-5, hit 300 on base percentage, 400 slugging the 500s, that's you're a god essentially.
Mm-hmm.
You really are. He did it 8 times in his career. It's a joke. One time he 3-4-6'd it on the dot. So I am one of the people that thinks Joey Votto is a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is some discussion around baseball. Is he or isn't he? But I think he was, kind of like on the forefront of like almost, I don't want to call him like a new age hitter, but the patience was when everyone was slugging, he was patient and had the slug. And it was like one of the best all around offensive players in the game for, I don't know, a 10-year run.
Mm-hmm.
So in my opinion, that means you're in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I actually think he'll end up being an easy Hall of Famer, but I don't even think that that's what we need to talk about today. When we started Intentional Talk in 2011, we would always ask guys like, who's the first baseman that you always look forward to standing next to? And almost universally, the answer was Joey Votto. And some guys was like, because he's just so weird and so different. And I think in the beginning of his career, he had that label. And then somewhere it changed, thankfully. I think we appreciated him for exactly what he was. And, he only gave us like a 7 or 8 second statement on Instagram yesterday with, I'm out of here. Like, this is it. But then he wrote something beautiful. And he said that it allowed him to be himself. And that's exactly what he was. Like, he wasn't some weirdo. He is somebody that we just all kind of grew to appreciate and love. Was he a little different than some of the players that play? Yeah. And I think that's what made him so cool. And, he came on IT in a Canadian Mountie outfit one time, and people were talking about that for a while. And then he started doing stuff with the fans where he started interacting. He said, I loved being hated by the fans. And then that flipped. Like, he became one of the most universally loved and respected players out there, not only amongst his peers, but in all sorts of fan bases. Like, he was almost this mythical creature at times.
Yeah, no, I saw the transition where, he was kind of like uber focused on his job. You get to first base, and it wasn't, like a smooth conversation, like a Freddie Freeman. Like, he has the reputation of just being like a happy-go-lucky type of guy. You get to first base. It wasn't that way with Votto. And then I don't know if he became aware of a certain perception that maybe he wanted to change. It did start to change. He was more talkative. And you mentioned the interaction with the fans and then going on IT and showing his personality. And then I think he really kind of got into it. I think once you get established in the big leagues and you're around the game, you realize just how lucky you are to play it, especially if you play it for as long as he did. And that's, guys will always tell you, people are going to remember how you treat people more than how you played. And you think that's so stupid when you're playing. You're like, no, dude, like I need to go like be a good player. That's the bottom line. And sure, you want to have results, but it is the truth. You remember the guys, you remember how they treated you, you remember how they treated other people. And Joey is, that's kind of like how I remember him, a guy that was fun, would give you advice if you asked, and was just a student of the game. Like one of the first guys that I would really say in my career, I was like, that guy is a student of the game.
And I do think that you'll see him on a streaming device or television near you, because he is one of a kind. Like, if we're looking for somebody in this sport to kind of take that national prominence, like, you'd be silly if you don't have a national package and you're not calling Joey Votto. That's simple. Awesome, dude. 7 times led the National League in on-base percentage. MVP in 2010, top 6 5 times, OPS over 900 in his career. only one of 63 players in the history of the sport with an on-base percentage of higher than 400.
Crazy.
Awesome. Awesome. Phillies topped the Braves 3-2. Really interesting game. Good job by Carlos Estevez to get out of a ninth-inning jam to preserve the victory for the Phillies. Let's remember, these two are big-time rivals. Last 2 years, Phillies have knocked the Braves out of the playoffs. We all remember what happened with Orlando Arcia and Attaboy Harper and all that, the words that got out, and then Harper hitting 2 home runs and giving Arcia the nasty stare down on the way. Well, Arcia hit a home run on Wednesday night, and as he was rounding first base, gave Bryce Harper a stare down. Harper said, I didn't really notice. We got the win. That's all that matters to me. It is August. It is not October. Any problem with what Orlando Arcia did?
I mean, I don't hate it. I kind of like the pageantry in baseball. I like storylines like this. I want rivals to not like each other. I think that makes for good entertainment because, after all, I like to say this on the show, it's an entertainment business. It really is. So, I like stuff like this. Now, if I'm really thinking about it, you want me to break it down? I mean, what's there to gain? That's the thing. Okay, look, you said something in the clubhouse. It got out, right? I don't fault Arcia for what he did, saying attaboy. That's just clubhouse fodder. It is what it is. It got out. I also don't fault Bryce for hitting a couple homers and saying, I'm the guy. You're not the guy. I'm the guy. And staring him down. Those two things, that makes sense. Staring him down now in August, what is that really? What, you're not winning anything with that. What people are going to say afterwards. So maybe it made him feel better. Maybe it's firing himself up. But there's really nothing to gain. Really, the only thing you have is maybe you piss Bryce off again, and maybe Bryce is about to go off again. You don't need to give guys like that added motivation. So, again, I don't think it was that big of a deal. And I maybe he wants to smoke, Chris. If he wants to smoke, I love it then. But I don't think the Atlanta pitchers are hey, man, we don't want the smoke. Let's just keep this guy down.
Yeah, I wonder how it plays in the Atlanta fan base. I don't give a shit if he does it. Go for it. Do whatever you want. You hit a homer, I said it. If you want to go cartwheel around the bases, it doesn't matter to me. That's cool. Now, the whole stare down thing gets to me a little, I don't know, a little old. It's fun. It is fun because it gives us something else to talk about. And I certainly understand. I'm with you. I echo the sentiments about Harper last year. But Bryce didn't say anything after that, right? Bryce was responding to something that Arcia had said behind closed doors, presumably. Wasn't. It was an open clubhouse, got reported. But I don't think, unless I missed a chapter of this story, Bryce Harper didn't then come out and say, screw Orlando Arcia, did he?
I mean, that's what hitting 2 homers does. It spoke for itself, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's action. But listen, I hope they find each other in the playoffs yet again this year. I want that shit. I want teams to hate each other. Exactly, I like it. Dude. We don't need every team to hate each other. But this feels this should be, right? Atlanta won it all in 2021. Philly was close in 2022. They were close again last year. Both times Atlanta got knocked out in the divisional round when they had won the division and had a bye. This is what we need. This is not bad for baseball. You can sit here and say RC is an idiot for doing it. I'll listen to that argument, but it doesn't bother me.
Exactly. No, I'm with you, man. I want these two teams to really have bad blood.
Yeah.
I do. Yep. I mean, in between the lines, once you get done with the game, it is what it is. But I think there used to be times, and maybe still there are times, where guys actually hate each other. But really, all I want is for you to kind of take the person out and just look at the uniform and say, I hate that uniform.
I get it. Hey, there's still officially 1 month of summer around. So that means that our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that will not break the bank. Shady Rays, if you don't know about it, listen up. It's an independent sunglass company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by more than 300,000 happy people. Their shades have durable frames, crystal clear optics, makes them the perfect choice for all outdoor activities. The thing I love about it is that they've got this protection in the history of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. So if you sit on them in the car, if you lose them in the ocean, because I love taking my shirt off and going into the ocean, you know me, don't worry, they got your back. And if you don't love their shades, exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. I haven't heard of a person that has returned them within 30, but you got the option. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. So head on over to shadyrays.com. Use that code today for 50% off 2+ pair of polarized sunglasses. Also, that offer applies to the custom Jimmy and Jake collab shades, so go get yours now. You'll be looking great. Speaking of looking great, we had speed and power on display Wednesday evening. Let's start with the power portion of the program.
Numerous times, and you're probably sick of hearing it.
Driven deep to right. Oh, he didn't. Yes, he did. Another one. He goes the other way. 2 home runs for Judge. 8-0 Yanks.
Yeah, they smashed the Cleveland Guardians in that one, thanks to Juan Soto and Aaron Judge. As for Judge, he is back on his 60-homer pace. Now, let's remember 2 years ago, we all sat in amazement and hung on every swing that he had in the month of September. How close are you to doing the same thing this time around?
Very close. I as soon as a guy gets to like 50 homers, I want to see all the at-bats. I want to see what he's doing. I think 50 homers is still like that kind of benchmark for me where I go, whoa. We see guys do 40 homers. I mean, I know that's a lot of homers. But once you get to 50, that's kind of when you catch my eye. And Judge's, he's on an incredible pace. You remember what he did in April, 7 whatever OPS since May 1st up until now, Chris. 379 batting average. We're talking almost 100 games, 94 games. 379. His on-base percentage, do you want to guess? Since
when? Since May 1st. On base, I'm going to say it's 432.
It's 507. 507 on base. He's slugging 830. An 830 OPS.
Oh my God.
I'll call you a great hitter. This dude, his on base is 507. His slugging is 830 for the 1.338. It's nuts, Chris. 99 runs driven into that time period, 41 homers. He's that pace that he's on there is a 71 homer pace through 162. So, I mean, the guy's incredible. It's you just really can't say enough about him. I don't know. But yes, as soon as he hits 50, I feel like I'm going to be watching. I hope they start cutting to his at-bats, and I'll be watching every night for him. We are watching one of the all-time great offensive seasons. Like, you need to know that so you can say, I watched it.
Yeah, and the guy who's going to finish closest to him in the MVP voting is the only one that's standing in between a triple crown and Aaron Judge, which I don't think coming into this year we ever thought was possible with him because the batting average just wouldn't be high enough, even though he's, obviously become more disciplined as a hitter and all that sort of stuff. I don't think any of us saw 330 plus on that as a possibility. But that is
352 for Bobby Witt right now, 334 for Aaron Judge. It's going to be hard. That's kind of a lot to make up in,
that is
5 or 6 week period here, but you never know, dude.
No. So I agree. I think that the minute he gets to 50, that MLB Network should be cutting into every at bat of his, or get it on a streaming, device for free. Whatever we can do, or, dangle something. If you don't want to make it totally free, here's an Aaron Judge at bat. And if you want more, I don't care, whatever it is, make it, let's make it all available to people. It's remarkable. It really is. I think I'm going to be most interested to see what manager follows in the path of Grady Sizemore and ends up walking him. That's going to be frustrated for a lot of us.
Someone did. Was it Hyde that did that? No, it wasn't Hyde. Who was it?
It was Grady Sizemore.
Oh, with the White Sox. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Schneider did as well.
Yeah. I mean, but I can't argue with it. Like, by the way, we're supposed to talk to Grady Sizemore on the Rose rotation weekend, so we'll be talking to him about that.
So,
Could be fun.
I mean, here's the thing that's also just so impressive about this and why we should be tuning in. I mean, the Yankees are in the thick of a race for the AL East. Like, these are coming in very, very important at bats. I think that's one of the cooler things about it. This isn't some empty homer chase. This is a guy doing what he's doing, in the most important part of the season as well. So tune in, people.
Yep. All right, so that's the power portion of the program. As for the speed,
that's the one that De La Cruz is going to run on.
There he goes. The pitch is down. The throw down is offline. Elly De La Cruz takes third base. And that is a monumental steal. That's his 60th swipe of the season.
Yeah, he is the 5th player in history to go 20 homers, 60 swipes in a single season. The other ones, Joe Morgan, Ricky Henderson, Eric Davis, Ronald Acuna, and now Elly De La Cruz in his 2nd full season in the show. I mean, he didn't even have a full season last year, so this is really his first full season. So here's the interesting thing. 3 of those guys I just mentioned, Joe Morgan, Ricky Henderson, Ronald Acuna, all won MVPs. How confident are you one day that Elly De La Cruz will follow suit?
Okay, he has the ability 100% to win an MVP. The only thing that's going on here, and I can say this about Bobby Witt Jr. too, is he's got this guy named Shohei Ohtani in his league. And you can talk about Aaron Judge in the American League for Bobby Witt Jr. Those guys aren't going anywhere. And Shohei's probably going to win the MVP this year in the National League as a DH only. When he starts to pitch again, it's going to be so hard to dethrone him. So that's the biggest, stepping stone is Shohei's got to have a bad year or possibly get injured in some way that he can't do either of these things. And then, we could talk about it more. I think like I said, he definitely has the ability to do it, Chris. 22 years old. The batting average and the on-base percentage is probably kind of what's holding him back from really taking that elite status as far as an offensive player. He's elite defensively, he's elite base running, and he's not yet elite offensively. Once he starts to command the strike zone a little bit better, those numbers are going to go up. He'll get into the nines. You get into the nines with your OPS, you steal bases like that, you play defense like that, you're an MVP type player. So he's going to be I think he's going to be putting up the seasons to do it. It's just, you got to slay the dragon, which is, I think, going to be pretty tough for him.
Yeah, so the Ohtani factor is great, particularly once he starts pitching again, which is what we expect next year. It's going to even become more difficult. So what he's going to need to do is rely on a little help from his friends. Like the Reds are going to have to win the division. They are going to, or make a strong push in the wild card. Now, there have been guys that have won MVPs on crappy teams, right? Andre Dawson won in 87 with the Cubs. I think they finished 6th place in their division. Yes, there was a 6th place back then. Same with Cal Ripken Jr. I think that happened in 91, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, with Mike Trout, it has happened. So it doesn't mean that your team has to be successful. But when we're talking about maybe taking something away from a Shohei Ohtani, and that's essentially what this is at this point of his career, you do need some help from your friends. Unless he makes such a huge jump. Now, he's on pace to finish with, I think, 76 or 77 steals. If that number gets up to 90 somehow, which I don't know how you make that much of a jump, but maybe you can. If he gets up to 90 steals in a season and he ends up hitting 30 homers in a year, well, then it's going to be right in front of you. But we're talking about seasons that have never been done before.
The problem is, Chris, Shohei's going to put up a 50-50 this year. Like, he's also stealing bases at an elite clip. So it's like, that's the one problem. Again, I think Elly's going to put up MVP type seasons, but unless Shohei just slows down drastically, it's going to be tough. I don't think Shohei's going to run as much when he starts pitching. I think this year he's like, you know what? let me give it my all on the base pass. He's I forget what he is. He's 38 homers or 38 stolen bases, 39 homers, something like that. Like he's had months where he's had 10 plus homers, had months where he's had 10 plus steals. So I think he is really trying. In his mind, he's set this goal for the first ever 50-50 season. So I think he's going to get it. I don't believe he'll steal that many bases next year. I think he'll really tone it down because, of the added, pressure of pitching and, the stress on your body of pitching. It's just that you got to remember that Shohei steals bags too.
Yeah, he does. I wonder where De La Cruz finishes in the MVP voting this year.
I would say 6th.
I think it might be higher than that because so many guys have been hurt. Like, who would you put as the best MVP candidate on Milwaukee? It's William Contreras, but I don't think he's going to be.
It's going to be Shohei. It's going to be Ketel Marte. It's going to be Marcelo Zuna, and it's going to be. Is there any pitchers that are going crazy?
No. I mean, he's fallen. Bryce has fallen off. I mean, Sales had a great year, but I don't think those are MVP type numbers. So I think he finishes 4th.
I would love that.
That's what I think. And that would be a great year, and he's super exciting, and he's a great kid. No, you do.
Ready for the odds?
Let's see where he is.
So you know what? People are going to be mad at us, especially Mets fans. We always forget about Francisco Lindor.
Oh, right.
Right now, they have him the second best odds. So it's going Shohei, Francisco Lindor, Marcelo Zuna, Ketel Marte, Bryce Harper, and then Elly De La Cruz. So I had him right at 6.
You sure did. Okay. Shame on us. Real quickly, Hector Neris back to the Astros. It's probably a good spot for him. Another arm, Ryan Presley going on the shelf. Back with a familiar friend. Maybe he can rekindle a little bit of that magic. We know they like him down there. So that was good pickup by the Astros. Last thing, Mets pickup of Jesse Winker certainly made sense. He didn't hit his first home run until Wednesday. It was a walk-off job against the Baltimore Orioles, and the dude basically did a strip tease around the bases. That's just 2 days after Alvarez ended up hitting a walk-off home run and having a crazy reaction unto himself. You're good with all this, or are you like, okay, well, at some point we got to draw the line somewhere?
Walk-off homers are like the epitome of do what you want. Even the most old school ball players, old school pitchers will tell you, hit a walk-off homer, do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. Now, I know a lot of guys still have problems in other situations, but I'm telling you, that is like the one universal time where you can do whatever you want. And for Jesse Winker, you could tell it was pure emotion. This wasn't, and I think that's what people forget too. Baseball players, like the old guys, don't care about pure emotion. They care about like premeditated, like showing you up type stuff. This was none of it. This was Jesse Winker, feeling like a culmination of a real comeback season for him. He had a great start to his career, had kind of a falling off, signs with the Nationals, and then gets traded to a team in a pennant race. Doesn't exactly, I think he's done fine for them. It fits in the roster perfectly. But this was, a quote unquote signature moment for him. And you could tell he's just happy to be contributing to a winning team. So I had no problem with it. I loved him and Alvarez's reactions. Like the crowd was like kind of celebrating with him. Like, they were cheering for him. They got loud when he ripped his helmet off. And then when he stomped on home plate, they got even louder. Like, this is what sports is about. So I have no problem with it.
It was great. It was awesome. He's kind of turned into this little sexy icon up there in New York City.
He looks good. I said that. Yeah.
I know, right? He's trimmed up. He looks good. He's fit. He's got the long hair going and everything. Like,
is he the new Jock Peterson?
What's that?
Is he the new Jock Peterson? Yeah.
I got to tell you, man, first of all, Jock has crushed it. He has crushed it over the last
I'm talking like
years.
A mercenary type. Is that Jesse Winker's future?
I think he would love that if that's where he could get back to, if he could do that. This was just his first home run as a Met. So we're talking about 3 weeks, and, he hadn't gone deep yet. So I think that was a nice little relief for him. But that was cool. That was a great reaction. Once again, the Mets do a great job putting it out on social media of like behind the scenes in the TV truck. If you're into that sort of stuff at all, how they put together the cutting of the cameras and all of that sort of stuff, it's really neat. Go find that on their SNY. It's really cool. Don't forget about your 5-hour energy question of the week. Get that in by tonight. So you guys have done such a good job over the last couple months with these questions. Keep them coming. We appreciate it. Shout out to our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke. That is the uber-talented Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose. We will see you Friday here on Baseball Today, presented to you by 5-Hour Energy.